Good morning. Coming up on 7:35 at WHP 580. It is the RJ Harris Breakfast Show. But as you know, RJ away this week. So it's me, Tom Russell from CBS 21 Television, filling in for RJ. And then JC Floyd is right over there, filling in for Holly Love. How you holding up, sir? You doing all right?
So far, so good.
All right.
Mr. Scaringi.
And welcome to the show, Marc Scaringi. And you know, Mark, our lawyer friend here has his own show here on WHP 580 on Saturdays, right?
Saturdays at 1 o'clock.
How's your show going?
It's going great, Tom.
Oh, we're glad to have you, and I appreciate you coming in. I wanted Mark to come in because yesterday on CBS 21, they had the big press conference from Governor Wolf, and one of the things that keeps coming up since this tragic shooting of last weekend is we keep hearing this term, red flag laws. So I wanted to have you on because I think I have a basic understanding. It basically says that, you know, a red flag would be, hey, this guy's mentally not right, or we think there's a problem here, and this could be a problem. But explain exactly what a red flag law would be or is.
Well, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf supports one of the main red flag bills in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, authored by Representative Tom Killian, who's a Republican.
So wait, there's already one in committee, or?
Oh, there has been, yes, for several months now.
Oh, okay.
There's been a red flag.
So
bill.
this is before the shooting and all that stuff.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
It's been an issue that's been kind of on the nation's agenda in various state houses across the country. Maryland has enacted one. My concern is we now have Republican leaders, from President Donald Trump to United States Senator Pat Toomey and others, who are now calling for the enactment of these red flag laws, these extreme risk protection orders. And I fear they have some real constitutional infirmities or challenges in the implementation of these extreme risk protection orders.
So the president would be talking about it at a federal level, and you're saying a couple of states already have it at the state level. So have you seen it in play? You said Maryland has one?
Well, it's in play in Maryland. And so here's what happens. These bills are structured similarly to the Protection from Abuse Act that we have here in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And states have
So
across
like a
the
PFA
country.
if a wife is trying to get protection from a spouse or something like that.
Well, yeah, and that's right. And so what will happen is if a law enforcement officer or a family or household member, and that family or household member definition is defined very broadly to include your ex-wife, your mother-in-law,
Oh, wow.
ex-girlfriends, and ex-boyfriends. So it's not really family or household members. These
Okay.
individuals now have the right to come into court and petition a judge to label you as an extreme risk. And they do this without your knowledge. You don't get service of the petition. You
Oh,
don't
really?
get notice of the hearing.
Do you get recourse?
Later on, you do. But when the initial petition for the extreme risk protection order is filed, it's done on an ex parte basis, meaning outside of your knowledge or presence. So there's a real question there and a problem, in my view. I think that violates our due process rights to have advance notice and the right to a hearing before our rights are taken from us. So they'll go into the court and they'll get a judge to issue an order, the extreme risk protection order. The judge will give it to the county sheriff. The county sheriff, next thing you know, is knocking on your door. And remember, you have no idea what happened. Knocking on your door, pounding on your door. Perhaps there will be a SWAT team there because it's a very dangerous situation.
Wow.
You open the door, there's the SWAT team saying, give us all of your guns. And you have no advance notice of this. You don't know why. And in Maryland, just a few days ago, in Maryland, they confiscate the firearms at the initial time they come to you.
And then you have to work to get them back.
You have to work to get them back eventually, yes.
If at
But
all.
in Maryland, the SWAT team came to the man's house. The man didn't know why. The man was possessing his firearm in his house, which is lawful. They shot him and killed him.
They shot him?
He's dead.
Oh, my goodness.
So these are very dangerous situations.
Yeah, because they're so nebulous, and you're asking for a judge to assess a situation which he has no intimate knowledge of. But the side of me that says, okay, there's a woman who's had an abusive relationship. You want her to have that avenue to go down and get help.
Well, she does through the Protection from Abuse Act in
The
Pennsylvania.
PFA thing, right?
That's right, yes.
So this would be a different one saying, hey, I think Mark's a little bit crazy there.
Well,
and I can go that route and go before a judge?
Well, that's right. And some of the factors that the judge will consider in determining whether to enter the extreme risk protection order against you include and they look back over the past 2 years of your life. So these can be very old incidents.
So I can pull out something from 2 years ago?
Your ex-girlfriend can pull out something from 2 years ago.
Wait, Mark, what have you heard?
And here are some of the factors: abuse of controlled substances or alcohol.
Wow.
So what does abuse of alcohol
Right.
mean?
He had 3 beers instead of 2?
How about a conviction for that involves controlled substances or alcohol? So that means DUIs. Have any of our listeners out there regrettably had a DUI? That's a factor that a judge can use to issue an extreme risk order, and the police will come to your house and disarm you of your firearms.
Wow, that takes us down an interesting path here. We're talking with lawyer Marc Scaringi about these possible red flag laws. Can you stick around a little bit?
Sure, Tom.
I want to ask you a little bit about how it would work from a federal level versus a Pennsylvania level when we come back in just a second. So I appreciate your lawyer expertise because I think we're heading down an interesting path to say the least. Coming up on 741 now at WHP 580. It is 7:48 now, 12 away from 8 o'clock on this Thursday. It is the R.J. Harris Breakfast Show. Tom Russell from CBS 21 Television filling in. J.C. Floyd right over there. And welcome to the show once again, Marc Scaringi. You know Mark from his show here on Saturdays at noontime.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock now, 1 o'clock. So, Mark, we wanted to have you in to talk a little bit more about these red flag laws or the potential thereof. So the president would be talking about one at a federal level. Governor Wolf talking on one at a state level. How do those interact? Does one trump the other?
Well, at the federal level, the president's talking about supporting Senator Lindsey Graham and Dick Blumenthal's bill, and that really is about providing funding to the states so that the states can implement and enact red flag laws at the state level. It's a little odd in that each state has their own taxing authority and their own treasury, and they can raise their own funds to do the job they're required to do. So it's just kind of looking like you're doing something at the federal level.
Okay. So a red flag, you explained to us, would be like an extreme threat. Is that the term you use?
Extreme risk, yes.
Okay, extreme risk. So explain to me how they had a protest out of Mitch McConnell's house. They went out there, and there's a hashtag on Twitter the hashtag is Massacre Moscow Mitch, and they're letting that trend nationally. How is that not a red flag? In other words, when you threaten somebody, how is that not a red flag?
Well, it is. Under Pennsylvania's bill and under the red flag laws that are in effect in various states across the country, the threat to cause death or serious bodily injury is a factor in determining that a person presents an extreme risk. And as such, this happens all of the time in America on social media, in private conversations, over the telephone, text, email, in person. So our law enforcement officials are going to be rather busy hauling everybody into court
under a red flag,
under these red flag laws.
Wow. You've been around the mental health from a legal standpoint for a long time, and you were kind of explaining that.
Thank you for clarifying it from a legal standpoint.
Good point. There's already things on the books for mental health. So is there a better way to go about these red flag laws, I guess is what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's a great point. And if these mass shooters do suffer from severe mental disorders, and I believe they do, in Pennsylvania, we already have laws on the books that are designed to remove that potential risk, that person who presents such an extreme risk, remove him from the community and put him into an inpatient mental health facility and compel him to obtain and receive the mental health treatment that he needs. That's how you remove the risk. Under these red flag laws, the law enforcement officers show up at this person's house. And remember, he's an extreme risk of harm.
Right.
He's going to kill. He's ready to kill. He's ready to do harm. And all they do is in Pennsylvania is ask him to relinquish his firearms within 24 hours. And they're to demand the firearms when they're there at his door. So let's say he turns over his firearms and they leave.
He's still there.
He's still there. There are 400 million firearms lying about in America today. You don't think this person who presents an extreme risk is, if he truly wants to do harm, you don't think he's going to find one and
some other
use
way
it?
to do it?
Right.
Well, we had a knife stabbing. We had a stabbing in California last night. I got 1 minute left. Congressman Scott Perry tried to make this point. Let's deal with the mental health side of this thing and got a lot of backlash for it. What do you say to somebody? We got to do something in light of all this
Well,
past week.
it's to address the mental health issue through the Mental Health Procedures Act in Pennsylvania, a law that's been on the books for many, many decades now. That's the law that I think is more appropriate in these situations. The red flag law is really just about confiscating guns. All it does is take away the guns.
The weapon.
It doesn't address or take away the problem, which is this deranged lunatic
The
who wants to do
motivation.
mass harm.
Right. All right. Marc Scaringi joining us about these red flag laws. I was hoping you were going to make me feel better about red flag laws, but I don't after talking to you. But thank you for your knowledge. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
You can catch Mark's show here on Saturdays at WHP at 1 p.m.
That's
so
right.
Check it out this weekend. Thanks, Mark. Have a good one. We appreciate it. It is 7:53 now at WHP 580.